Happiness through curiosity on the Ranveer Show. What I wish to ask you next is about Vedant. He's also become a social media sensation. So there's a narrative which is anti-nepotism. And then they always talk about R.Madhavan as the guy who has kind of broken out of nepotism-based mindsets. I don't even know what that means. I'm sure you've come across these memes. Like people love your son. Therefore, they love R.Madhavan's belief system, which is what I wish to ask you. I know that we're kind of tangentially moving in here because everything that you're talking about, hard work and mindset, you've obviously told your son who's a champion swimmer. People love him. People love that he's representing the country today. First question, are you aware of all these memes about you two?
Yes, we are. Shaitaan and I are not very pleased about it.
Really?
Yeah, we regret it because comparing a child to another child or to, see, memes are meant to be consumed and people do what it takes to make the meme consumable. And at times they don't realize how much they hurt other people, right? So when Vedant gets compared to other kids in the industry, it's not something Shaitaan and I like, nor do we endorse it, nor do we forward it, or nor do we acknowledge it. Yes, I'm not going to take away from what Vedant has achieved. Okay, he's done what it takes to get the medals that he's done and get the national record that he's done. And being a celebrity's child is not easy. He's going to get a lot more attention than most of his friends who achieved greater level of success, being his same age as Vedant. So we do our best to try and promote the other guys as well. Vedant isn't the best in the country, but he's definitely an actor's child who has managed to create a national record when in that age group. So not taking away from that, I'm very aware of those memes, and it doesn't make me feel pleased whatsoever at all.
When I was speaking to people about this conversation that we were going to have, everyone brought this up as a compliment for you.
I understand.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable.
How would you? No. You don't need to apologize. How would you know how Shaitaan and I view it? Because it's a double-edged sword. Even for Vedant to consider himself to be worthy of all that attention is stupidity. If he was not my son, and the sport doesn't see whose son you are, it just sees the numbers and the fractions of a second that you're either faster or slower. And the fact that he's not the best in the country. There are many kids his age and his age group who've got more records and are much better than him. Thankfully, my son is wise enough to understand all that. And Shaitaan and I keep explaining to him that there are pitfalls of being used today. Can I take time to explain how it means?
Take your time.
So when you win a competition and you see so many memes and congratulatory methods and people making news, they're all doing to flatter and pay homage to us, which we are very grateful to. Okay, but for Vedant, he suddenly realizes, boss, I got this 4 gold medals in Malaysia. This is how many followers came to me, and this is how many people took autographs from me, and this is how many people praised me. At a young age, that's plays beautifully on your mind, and it becomes very motivating, okay? What happens next in the next race, for instance, is that maybe he's not done as well, okay? Maybe he's not, instead of 5, he's only got 2 medals. Okay. And the next race, he still gets 1 medal. He's still making progress. He's still doing his personal best. But the amount of recognition and the adulation and the happiness is not the same. So what does the child do? He tries to compensate for it in one way or the other just to get the same amount of endorphins kicking into your mind. So he'll put up an extra post. He'll put up an extra video of him working out. I'm giving you examples, right?
Sure.
So that you want to achieve the same level of euphoria every time when you do an achievement, not realizing that the lack of it is actually training you to say you're not as good as you were. So let's work a little harder, or let's try to change the approach. So we consciously try and tell him, babda, this is how much you have done. So if you take out the Madhavan from your name, Vedant, this is where you stand. I have to constantly do that. And so thankfully, over a period of time, I was able to make him understand that you're going to be judgments are going to be passed against you. As much as people are flattering you, the moment you falter once, the amount of axes and brake pads that you'll feel will be equally high compared to somebody else who makes a smaller mistake, or somebody else who makes a bigger mistake but is not a celebrity's son. So this is the conditioning I'm talking about. So the level of happiness you were talking about and what this 5-year plan, everything that you desire for is all a product of your conditioning, right? I might aspire to have a Rolls Royce, but a billionaire's son's aspiration is, that's a basic requirement. Why would Rolls Royce be? So his level of happiness is maybe something completely different as opposed to you and me. So what is enough money to be happy? And then you define that happiness that money will give you, and suddenly you realize the correlation is not the same. The richest person in the world has not got 10 billion times more happiness than you just because you have 10 crores, man. He'll die if it's that much of happiness. So his happiness and ability to handle sadness and tragedy and stress is the same as anybody. Who's happier? If a beggar on the road, for instance, suddenly finds 100 rupees when he least expects it to and he needs it, compared to a businessman who's just made a profit of 20,000 crores instead of 30,000 crores, who do you think is sleeping happier that night? And so I can be a parent, I can be a superstar or an actor, and my son can have all the recognition. But the amount of stress that I have as a parent is the same as any middle class family has. It's really frightening.
But you are drilling in the humility. I don't see a lot of, I'm not talking about just media, just generally. Parents don't really drill in the humility in urban metros nowadays as much as they should, at least in my eyes. Of course, you can't ever comment on someone's parenting when you see what in my eyes is not the ideal case of parenting. So what you're saying is a very ideal case of parenting.
Not really. No. It's very middle class, guys. Like if you look at all the middle class people, वो बोलते हैं ना नजर लग जाएगा भाई मत करो. ये नजर जाएगा. What is नजर लग जाएगा basically? So don't gloat so much over all your achievements. Keep moving ahead. That's exactly what they are trying to say. Don't wear all your feathers and go out in all your fineries at all times. Work on the focus of what you're supposed to do instead of dwelling on your past achievements. That's what it means. Okay.
You're carrying on the chain of superior Tamil parenting, according to me.
Well, it's worked. I just say it's worked as far as I'm concerned, so it's good.
I have a bunch of Tamil friends, okay, many of whom are what you would call ultra HNIs. All are brought up with the same kind of humility. I don't know what it is in Tamil culture. This is at least what I have felt. Both I'd say Tamil and Malayali culture. Something about like humility.
You're right.
Right? What
Absolutely
is this logic?
I think... and the reason they're being also successful around the world, if you look at the top 20, 30 Fortune 500 CEOs, a lot of them are Indians and a large part of them are South Indians. It just, you don't start dwelling in your small achievements and accomplishments too much. So they will be far wealthier than they ever show. They'll be far more accomplished than they ever behave.
It's looked down upon to show off a little bit.
No, it's intrinsically not part of their lives. I'm telling you, it's intrinsic. Like, if I've grown up in Jamshedpur, the Tatas are like that. They're not even South Indians, man. The Tata, औकात में रहे, आराम से रहे, दिखावा क्यों कर रहा है? And they're not like that. You will never see a Tata employee buzzing around in a Rolls Royce just because he can afford it. It's very strange, It's a culture. It's a culture that comes. So I think middle class attitude is the best attitude for survival. It's a survival instinct. So you don't dwell on everything, everything is transient. The transientness of nature and life is the one that keeps you humble, and your situational awareness open to see all the changes that are going to come your way to be able to tackle them. I think it's very important.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.